Okay, so first of all, thanks everybody for coming. Those of you who are already members of the DAO, I'll say what I always start out by saying: I can't thank you enough for everything that you do for this community. Your tireless efforts and work is what is historically putting our tiny little DAO, which is becoming bigger every day, on the map. And everything that we accomplish is because of you as a collective. Here's the way we wanted to do this. This is kind of a state of the DAO spaces. And so let me just go through the agenda with you guys really quickly. First, Calvin is going to give a bit of a market analysis, his thoughts on what is currently going on in the crypto markets and why, his look at the BLOCKS token and how it is faring in those markets. And then I would like you all to ask Calvin questions because he doesn't have as much time as I have this evening. So at that point, we'll open it up, for Calvin to take questions about his part. I'm then going to give kind of an overview of the state of the DAO from my perspective. And after that, I'm actually going to, I was going to give you guys a breakdown of what we're doing in marketing and what we're doing with partnerships. And then I realized, why would I do that? You guys have on your own formed a community marketing group and a community biz dev group, both of which are very active and doing fantastic jobs. So you will be hearing from representatives of both the biz dev group and the marketing group, and they're going to give you a breakdown of what's going on in their groups in full transparency. And then I'm going to invite the leaders of two groups which will be putting out a proposal for a vote on adding two new subcommittee groups to the DAO. And I'm going to ask them to talk to you about the proposals that they'll be putting out. And then all of us can take any questions after that. So with no further ado, I would like to turn this over to my good friend and resident genius, Calvin Waite.
Hey, Calvin, real quick. This is the first block space that is actually being recorded. So I did want to let everybody know that this is being recorded both on Twitter as well as Level 2 will be hosting it on YouTube. Just a heads up. But other than that, it's all yours, Calvin.
Very cool. Well, it is really, really awesome to be here to be together and talk as a DAO and talk about some of the exciting things that are going on. Just for kind of my portion, I'm always I always kind of have my finger in the air as far as the temperature of the crypto space and where things are kind of at, and it's just wanted to give a little bit of background. BLOCKS is tied directly to Ethereum in our current market, and Ethereum is heavily reliant on the price action of Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin has done just an amazing rise since the beginning of last year. And Bitcoin is starting to mature. I've been talking to several people about some of the nuances and changes. Years ago, Bitcoin was a very emotional market. And then back in 2016 and 2017, it started following rules. And you could tell that some more sophisticated investors have been involved and entered the space and have started moving that market around. And since then, it has even matured even further. And the kind of big rolling swings is indicative of even larger players and even more money involved in the space. So from my perspective, we've gone up a lot from a a base of around 10,000, which was sort of our kind of pivot point, and then we rose to 60, and then we retraced, and then went to 68, and now we're retracing again. And what I kind of expect to see just in the near term is that we've gone directly from 68,000 without a break all the way down to where we are today, and there hasn't been any breather. Markets never go one direction at all forever, and so to go down over 50% in 3 months and go 3 months in a row like that is a very significant move, and there has to be relief at some point. And so we're kind of looking for that. A few things that are complicating that is that end of year, there are a lot of profits that were made last year where traders are probably going to be selling for to pay for taxes and things like that. So I kind of feel like we'll start seeing a little bit of sunshine next month that will start to mellow out. And usually we'll get a month or two of kind of a sideways action before we start to recover. Ethereum will recover in the same way Bitcoin will. So that's why I wanted to talk about Bitcoin first. So Ethereum it is more volatile than Bitcoin, and it definitely follows. So as we go moving forward with kind of the recovery of Bitcoin nearing the end of the first quarter, I expect Ethereum to rise, and then that will really kind of propel things on. So that kind of takes us to where blocks are at, and it just, I'm not going to sit and try to predict what blocks is doing. The last thing I like to do is predict things that in a public way where I'm very invested and have a lot of interest. But I did want to say that because of the partnerships, because of the growth, especially going live on the Humble app, there has been a lot of pent-up demand that has been able to enter blocks with much less difficulty. And we are starting to see the fruits of that. And I'm not going to give any tight details beyond what's obvious on the blockchain. And that is that it appears that a little over 5 million blocks has been purchased in since going live on the Humble app, and you can see those things right on the blockchain itself. And I've seen a lot of feedback from a wide variety of individuals that many are able to get in and make a small purchase. So it seems to be that many people are making a small investment, and there are plenty more that haven't been able to get in because we're waiting for swaps from Ethereum into blocks to be available on the app as well. So there's still a lot of growth. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of things moving. So from a market perspective, it feels we're showing a lot of strength versus Ethereum in our own market. And when the other markets kind of recover, Bitcoin and Ethereum, that's going to set the dollar price of blocks to be it'll look very different than it is now, and it'll be I think a lot of people that are interested in getting involved now are going to see the financial benefits of that. So that is my synopsis on kind of where we are on the market.
The only thing that I wanted to add to that, Calvin, and you can, if you would, weigh in on the importance of this, is I've been following how Blocks is doing against Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it is rather impressive. We've been up against Ethereum as much as 6% and higher than that against Bitcoin. And that fundamental, I think, is extremely important. Did you want to expand on that at all, or did I say all I needed to?
Well, the only thing I would add to that is that it is amazing because I've seen a million different new coins enter the market, and I've always said since the beginning that the behavior on the market of the blocks project has been completely different than anything else I've ever seen. Those of you who got involved into the Sheep coin and the zombie coin and all these, you're just seeing what it feels like to have a precipitous rise and then the subsequent precipitous drop. It just happens like clockwork. And so there's a lot of euphoria and there's a lot of pain in a market that runs like that. And where Blocks has just been this slow organic growth where people joined the DAO to govern and to be a part of something, it's reflected in the market itself. There have been tiny little ebbs and flows, but for the most part, it's been fairly stable because the people that are here are interested in being here and being interested in being part of something and growing something as a group. And the price stability is unbelievable, and you just see little marginal gains just over time. So even though the price has been fairly steady, it's Ghost is correct that we're seeing these moves, like this slow incremental move as the product gains more traction and more audience. And it's really cool to see something grow like this because markets don't usually behave like that.
So thank you, Calvin. So Yacht, if you would be kind enough to open it up to questions, or if you, Yacht, want to lead off with a question specifically on the material that Calvin just covered, and let's keep all questions other than what Calvin just covered to the end. It would be great if we could do that now.
Yeah, first off, I want to introduce my my new co-host for the evening. Kelly McTaggart is up here, so she's going to be kind of free-flowing host as well as myself. And then I think with this being kind of the state of the DAO, I think it's going to be a little bit more open than we have in the past. And then we also have Joe and Christina who represent different verticals within the DAO as well. So for me, I think that what I've seen in the market is, I mean, stocks, cryptos, everything goes up, everything goes down. There's a lot of volatility, but right now, I think that there is a lot of new coins, and like you just touched on, Calvin. There's a lot of volatility. We saw it go up, we saw it go down, but in reality, Blocks is kind of has really just been that stability. And I think that what I'd like to do in this space is definitely open up for questions, because I think in Discord, sometimes it moves a little bit too fast and people miss a lot of opportunity to ask those questions or maybe catch some of the information. So maybe if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit that mic on the bottom left corner. We'll bring you up. And it looks like Buffett's got his hand up first. So if you have a question in regards to what Calvin just said, feel free.
Hey, yeah, sure. Hey, Calvin, how you doing? Hey, Ghost, how you doing? You the man, Ghost. I just have a quick question. Like, I know yesterday there was a big purchase, right, from one of our investors, from the gentleman, Mr. George Sharp. I was just wondering, where was that transaction reflected? Because a lot of investors are wondering where that transaction is. So I checked the Etherscan, and I checked the wallets, and the only wallets that have $100,000 worth were actually purchased like months ago or like early on launch. So
yeah, no, that's a good question. I'll speak to that. So the DAO was approached, and a request was made if, in this case, blocks could be bought directly out of the treasury. And as I have been, I talked to Gold about this, and Gold gave me approval to go ahead. I didn't feel that we needed a full community vote, thus progressive decentralization. But Gold gave me their complete support that as we are looking at our cash flow, and that as the DAO raised a limited amount of money very intentionally to help with its operations in the beginning, we are now at the point, and I'll talk about this in a bit, so I don't want to expound on it right now, but we're at a point where we have to pay fees to get on the different centralized exchanges that we are currently getting on. We have other costs, and instead of the treasury having to go onto the open market and sell tokens to convert those into fiat, this was a fantastic opportunity for us to bolster our cash position for the expenses that we have on the horizon to sell blocks at the current market price. So there was no discount asked for, and there was no discount given. And those blocks were purchased from the Dallas Treasury at the market price at the time of the wire being executed. And those funds have been received into the Dow's account, and we now have access to those. And we're grateful for the purchase of those blocks. We're grateful for the press release that came out. It shows that a publicly traded company who was so interested in our project, so excited about our project, that they wanted to hold blocks on their balance sheet as an asset, and further, that the CEO of that publicly traded company had such a personal belief in our project that he himself bought blocks as well. So very excited, very appreciative, and I hope the whole community will join me in welcoming our newest member of the DAO.
All right. So real quick on that, Ghost, how does that benefit all of the investors? I mean, you said you spoke to Gold, but I mean, we're all invested in this to see profits, right? So I think
I'm gonna interrupt you there, and I'm gonna give a bit of an education that I've given the community over time. I don't consider any of you investors because this is not a security. I consider all of you participants, okay? And you all bought blocks for whatever reasons you have. Those reasons are valid. I'm not here to question or judge or consider any of them. Those are your reasons, and you should do with your blocks as you want. The great news is that over 96% of the folks who have bought blocks at this point have bought blocks and have not sold them. They have bought them to hold and govern. So what does that do for the project? Is what that does is it gives us the money to continue to operate and to be able to afford things like marketing efforts, like paying our lawyers, like being able to afford setting up market makers on centralized exchanges as we come into the centralized exchange world.
Is that wallet going to be disclosed to us?
What?
Because it doesn't come up on the Etherscan. Those hundred.
So I'm sure that those of you who do Etherscan searches can find a wallet on the Etherscan with that amount in it.
Hey, Ghost. I'm a developer, and it's not on the Etherscan.
Okay, well, you can ping me on Discord, and you and I can discuss that. But it's everything on the blockchain is transparent, and those are being held in a wallet, and that wallet is on the blockchain.
Okay, so there's another transaction. There's a $9 million transaction and a $3 million transaction 4 days and 6 hours ago that were transferred to a wallet beginning in 0xEE and another one in 0x35. Can you explain what that $9 million value of blocks was for and the other $3 million value of blocks was for?
I can't at this moment, and I'm going to encourage you that we're on a Spaces for the state of the DAO. This is not a wallet watching conversation. I have no problem with wallet watching. I am all for it. It's part of decentralization. But for this call, let's stick to the state of the DAO. I think I've answered your questions. Let's move on to the next.
So you don't know what $12 million were transferred for?
I don't. I know that there's a lot of tokens that were pre-allocated and people may be moving those into multiple wallets. I know that I have moved my tokens into multiple wallets.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Those came from the deployer, by the way.
All good.
Thank you.
All right, guys. If you guys have any questions, make sure you raise your hand. I did have a few people come up and request speaking. Now we have what looks like about 12 people available to speak. If you guys have any questions, make sure you raise your hand, and I will bring you up accordingly in the order that you're brought up. But like I said, let's try to keep the questions free, and we're all about the transparency and making sure that this flows and we get as much information as we can. I don't want to bog down the entire space for the entire night looking into those issues, but I think we can address those offline or at least in the Discord.
100%. If we don't have any questions, we can move on to the next segment, but I wanted to make sure everyone got to ask their questions.
Yeah, I figured we'd go through a couple little windows of whenever there's some downtime, we can look for questions. As of this time, nobody's raising their hand, so I think we can go into the next segment.
Yeah, this is Kevin. I think I'm up here with a question. If you get a second.
Great. Go for it, Kevin.
First off, gotta say thank you. I'm really excited about everything you guys are doing. Secondly is I've already done one purchase of blocks on the initial opening, and I plan to do another one in a few weeks. Are you going to iron out and smooth over this ACH transfer? Because right now I'm having trouble with Schwab, and I've done a trouble ticket through Humble, but I'm just wondering if that's going to be back up and running anytime soon. Do you know?
Sure. So Kevin, let me speak a little bit to that, because although I've made this clear in the past, and you may be newer, and that's okay. All questions are good questions. There are no bad questions. I just want to make it clear. Humble is one of our very cherished partners, as is Revest and BizSecure. I can't speak to the technical efforts of Humble. I know that the BizDev group is going to cover partnerships, so I don't want to go into this too deeply. I personally have been super impressed with what was put out into production by our partner, Humble. We have no exposure or access to Humble's Zendesk tickets. I'm confident and hopeful, as I am with all of our partners, that they'll answer all of your inquiries in a timely fashion. I know there's been some issues. I see it up in Discord with some of people trying to make purchases. My personal experience, and I know Calvin has had the personal experience as well of buying blocks through the Humble wallet. Sometimes the failure happens on the side of the bank, because some banks don't want to work with wire. So depending if you're doing it ACH, you're dealing directly with a bank, credit cards may go through a little bit more smoothly. But we can't speak over at the DAO on behalf of one of our partners' technical releases. We can only support them in every way that we possibly can, as nothing more than a partner, which is all that we are.
I appreciate it. You did answer what I was looking for, and like I said, keep up the good work, because this is actually my first space. So, but you guys are doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's really well appreciated. Anyone else that is waiting?
Zach, you got your hand up? You got a question for Ghost?
Yep, what's up? Yep. So how are we planning on getting this to like reach maximum like mass adaptation, like to get, say we got like a small, say local business like running a t-shirt shop, and you know they want to like get their t-shirts on the blocks verified through like NFTs, but you know they're not into like this Web3 stuff and tokenization and all that, so they don't know how to do it. So like what would be like, what are we doing to get that to like the point of simplification?
Sure,
to get them
Zach.
to easily understand?
Zach, I want to thank you for your question, and I have a favor to ask of you. I really want to focus in right now on questions specifically about what Calvin talked about, which is the state of the crypto markets and how Blocks is tied to Ethereum, how he envisioned Blocks is doing against Ethereum, and where Ethereum and Bitcoin are going. Zach, what I would ask is that you table that, and I would really love you to ask that question again at the end when we open it up for general questions, if you don't mind.
Got you.
Thank you,
yeah,
sir.
We'll keep it moving just because Calvin, we got less time with Calvin, and like Ghost had said, we'll be here for a couple hours if you guys have the questions. But we can keep moving. Nobody else has their hand up, Ghost. So if you want to go into the next segment, we can
Sure.
go from there.
Sure. So I'm going to give my kind of observations on the state of the DAO and where we are, where we've come from, and where I think we're going. This is one man's opinion. Let me introduce myself for those of you who do not know me. I'm Ghost. I am a senior advisor. I guess I'm the senior advisor to the BLOCKS DAO project. I am here to simply help guide the DAO on its journey towards full decentralization as the first legally formed DAO in the United States of America, and as far as I know, the first legally formed DAO in the world. What I've seen is incredibly impressive. Some of you may think that I'm, spraying you-know-what up your you-know-whats, but I'm going to say what I always say. This has been nothing more than a miraculous ride that I have been given the privilege to have a front seat at. What we have done is we have taken a company, in our case a project, and we have turned it over to close to a couple thousand people and asked those people, all of whom have full-time jobs, to help us run this project, make decisions about this project, and do it as a community. We have gotten very lucky, in my opinion. You don't know what you're going to get when you open something up to the general public in the world, as far as community members that are going to join, and what will their intent be? What will their priorities be? And overwhelmingly, in the case of the BLOCKS DAO, what we have been blessed with is mostly a group of people who have been incredibly willing to put up their own time and help drive this project forward. We have become like a family, and as in all families, we have our disagreements, we have our dysfunction, and we have worked through that. Many of you know that I have had some spirited moments with some community members. Some of those members were invited to no longer be on our Discord, and those members have then been invited back. And I would specifically like to say, in those cases, that those members who have come back into the DAO have been extraordinarily helpful, have been amazing community members, and I want to applaud the maturity of everyone who has had disagreements in the DAO with either me. No one has a disagreement with Calvin, so we'll just put that to the side, but disagreements with me or with each other or with our moderators or with our community moderators. What we have accomplished is nothing less than amazing. In 3 months' time, we have voted on everything that would be pertinent and important for this community. I have had community members reach out to me asking, can we start, and the first one was a community marketing group. And that was put out in the form of a proposal by a gold member, as is outlined in our operating agreements under the legislature that was passed in the state of Wyoming, which we have been operating well within the form of. And we are actually voting for things like business development and community marketing to run this part of the DAO. So in that case, I'm not going to talk about community marketing because I don't run community marketing. However, we're fortunate enough to have a representative from community marketing on the call tonight, and they will have the opportunity to disseminate information on what they do behind the scenes. Although I would say that that group is fantastic at letting you guys know what they're doing every step of the way. Same thing with the business development community, and there will be a representative of that community who will debrief you on what is happening with all of our partnerships and any impending partnerships. Along with that, there are going to be 2 people, and Yacht, if you haven't done it yet, well, one of them is already, I believe, empowered as a speaker, that being Joe, but there are 2 other community marketing subgroups that have been requested to be born. One of those is operations, and I will let the author of that proposal and the originator of that concept speak on what operations is meant to be. I know that they will be putting a proposal out in Discord for a vote in the near future. The second being a finance committee. And I will also, and by the way, yeah, if you haven't, if you could please, if he's on, enable his name in Discord is Ben Jensen. If you could please enable Ben Jensen to be a speaker as well.
Yep.
Ben, if you're on, please request through your mic to be a speaker. Ben will be talking about his concept of why he asked for a community finance committee to be organized. I think you all will be very pleased. As you know, one of the greatest steps that we need to achieve on our road to decentralization is the release of our treasury into multi-sig wallets. And this will be the first step, the finance committee will be the first step that will front run the natural organic second step, which will be a release of treasury into a multi-sig wallet construct. Second, next, I had been asked, and in Discord I posted it, what our circulating supply is. I posted it, but for those of you who missed it, those of you who are in the Discord, we have minted 10 billion tokens. That is all the tokens that will ever be minted. The community, that being the DAO, may decide to burn some of those tokens in a year or 2 or 3 years. There has been a 3-year emission schedule that has been published. We are currently at approximately 3 billion tokens in circulating supply. And I want you all to know we are dead on track with our emission schedule to have, I believe it's approximately 46 to 48% of our overall total supply into circulation by year's end. And so that I think is extraordinarily exciting. Next, I want to talk about our path to decentralization. What is decentralization? Well, no one really knows because this has never been done before. What are we concerned with? We're concerned with what our friends at the Securities and Exchange Commission consider decentralization. And I mean that when I say our friends. I personally, and I hope most of you agree with me, embrace the Securities and Exchange Commission in coming to some discernible law and laws about how crypto works in the United States of America. They've been very kind up to now in providing us with guidance, but beyond guidance, we need laws that we can follow. Up to now, all we've really had is one of the commissioners of the SEC is a very brilliant woman named Hester Pierce. And she has put out 2 extraordinary documents. One is called Safe Harbor. The second is called Safe Harbor 2.0. And in Safe Harbor 2.0, Commissioner Pierce goes into progressive decentralization. And the reason that she points out progressive decentralization, as she quite correctly points out, that it would be absurd to try and launch a decentralized project that is decentralized out of the gate. You need to give the community time to adhere, to form, and to come up with their own mechanics of how they are going to work as a collective. Now, in Commissioner Pierce's 2.0, Safe Harbor 2.0, she gives DAOs 3 years to achieve progressive decentralization. Well, all of my friends in the DAO, I'm here to tell you, we are so far ahead of a 3-year track to decentralization that I believe we will set the standard for what can be done and accomplished in heading towards decentralization in a much shorter period of time. My guess is that we will achieve what would be considered by all, including the Securities and Exchange Commission, in decentralization in less than a year. To me, decentralization is about what percentage of the supply, of the total supply of tokens are out and circulating in the open markets and in hands of others that are distributed in a way that there can be no singular voice based on amount of tokens held to sway a DAO in any given way. That the DAO itself holds so many more tokens than any individual that there is no single voice that can move the DAO. We have already accomplished that. No one holds a number of tokens that would precede the amount of tokens that are held collectively from other members of the DAO, so that vote could be skewed. However, as most of you know, the initial founders of the DAO, all of whom have been moved to administrative member roles under the legislative laws in Wyoming that govern DAO LLCs, which is the law that we are governed under, all of the original founders and myself and the other advisor to the project, that is Arbitrage, have agreed not to vote on anything, nor become a tiered acknowledged member until decentralization is met. So we even have taken away, to a greater standard, any argument that could be made that there are large holders of blocks that could sway a community, because the largest holders of blocks at this point have, by their own decision, recused themselves from being a part of any decision, that being a vote, that could move the DAO in any direction. So that's pretty amazing. I will say that if all of us came in and said that we would vote, it still wouldn't matter, because you all still have more than we all. And that's really important. And that's something we should lean into. The next thing I want to talk about is what we've been trying to do. So as most of you know, we have a deep desire, as does the community, and the only reason we have a deep desire is because we take our direction from the community, to be listed on centralized exchanges. As most of you know, we have signed a contract with our first centralized exchange, that being FMFW. That was meant to be launched on the 20th of January. However, because we needed to set up market makers, that did put a bit of a wrinkle in the process. We came across some issues based on the fact that that exchange is not currently an exchange offered in the US. And as everyone who can sign anything is, and have an account set up, is a US citizen, we had to find a legally acceptable workaround to set up an account on that exchange so we can begin market making. It looks like, as of today, we have found that legally acceptable workaround, and I would hope that we are up and running on FMFW in the very, very near future. I don't want to give a date because I hate to miss dates. We are also considering another exchange, which we all came to you with in the beginning, called Probit. It is out of South Korea. They have a very interesting demographic in that they have a fairly well-distributed user base across both the Asia-Pacific Rim, as well as Latin America and Europe. They currently do not allow US trading, but they have communicated to us that US trading should be enabled this year on that platform. And so we have gone back to them and re-picked up our efforts in looking at potentially listing on that exchange as well. A lot of you are going to ask, what about the big exchanges? What about Coinbase, Bittrex, Binance, Gemini, Kraken, etc.? We are very interested in being listed on all of those exchanges. Having run a cryptocurrency exchange myself, I can tell you, you don't want to make an application to be listed on an exchange and get turned down, because it puts you to the back of the queue, and usually the person who makes the decisions, either head of compliance or the head of trading operations, if you've applied and they don't think you're ready, they won't even look at you for another year. I think we're probably 3 to 6 months away from having the metrics that we need to apply to those big exchanges and have them favorably give us a response that, yes, they would very much want us on their exchange. We have a lot of intangibles, such as our status as being the first legally organized DAO in the United States and then again in the world. that will give us an advantage that other token projects don't have. I do think that listing on these major exchanges is in our not too distant future, but I will continue to ask for your patience on us listing on those exchanges, as it is a timing thing. Obviously, no decisions on any of this will be made without coming to the community and getting the community's approval. So as always, you all hold the keys to the car, and you will give us your approval or denial on the things that we come to you with our advice on. To wrap up, again,
Can I say something real quick, Ghost, about the exchanges?
Yeah, you know what? I just want you to wait until I open it up for questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. This was just on your topic.
Yep, no, I hear you. Put it in the bucket, and we'll get back to you. Thank you. I appreciate you, though. To wrap up, I wanted to say that, as most of you know, I spend a lot of time in Discord. I am incredibly committed to this project. I work for all of you, and it has been, and as long as you all would like me to continue in my role, will continue to be an absolute pleasure. I have been amazed at what you have all done collectively. I am truly thankful and feel blessed that I got this community as a community for the first DAO. And what you all are doing is nothing less than extraordinary and exceptional. And you have my thanks. You have, I know I can speak on behalf of all of the original founders. You have all of their thanks. And I just want to say that, in my most humble opinion, you all have exceeded all expectations that I have had, that our lawyers who have been instrumental in actually writing the legislation in the state of Wyoming. I spoke to them today. They are blown away with what you all have done as a community, and you guys are currently setting the benchmark that will be used moving forward as how DAOs, legally formed DAOs, and those communities should work together. And you guys are writing that book as we go. Before we open it up to questions, I'd like to pass it, if I could, to the head of the, well, actually, I'm going to start with the community marketing group, because that was the first proposal that was voted on and approved. Although Chrissy from the Blocks heads up that subcommittee of the DAO, she has asked one of our favorite community members, Patriot, to speak on the community marketing group's behalf. So, Patriot, I'd like to turn this over to you.
Thank you, Ghost, for the introduction. For everybody that does not know me, my name is Christina, and also known as Patriot in Discord. I am super excited to be the representative for the community marketing team tonight, and I got a lot of things I want to touch on, so I'm just going to try and breeze through it. The community marketing team kicked off with the DAOcember to Remember, which was a series of airdrops for individuals who held more than 5,000 blocks in their wallets. We basically had two main goals with this campaign. The first one was to entice those who were kind of waiting on the sidelines, on the fence to buy blocks, to actually take the plunge. The second was to entice the members who have actually purchased blocks to connect their wallets and to be in Discord, to participate in the DAO. As we all know, Blocks has two components to it. The first being the actual technology portion of Blocks, but the second is the DAO and the governance portion of it. And the strength of the DAO is its members. So we kind of wanted to get this campaign going and have people join the DAO. This was pretty successful. We saw a pretty significant increase in both holders and connected wallets. So we were pretty happy with that. Moving on, the proposal for the CNBC interview, that's been several weeks in the making. We are super happy that it passed. For those who don't know, it's a 6-minute segment on CNBC's Advancing Technologies with Ted Danson. This was proposed, voted on, and approved by the DAO, and should start filming in the foreseeable future. We believe the exposure from this will be significant because it's not only just a segment, but it's commercials, which will run about 100 times, I believe, during a span of our choosing. We're incredibly excited about the opportunity and feel that this exposure, national exposure, will pay dividends for us in the long term. Another one of our campaigns that we're super happy about that launched this week was the Unstoppable Domains campaign. For those who don't know, Unstoppable Domains, it's a blockchain-based protocol for registering and hosting domain names as NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. Unstoppable Domains has 236,000 followers on Twitter. When we launched our campaign on Twitter earlier this week, it's received 336 comments, 367 retweets, and 502 likes, which, I mean, are pretty incredible metrics for us. This campaign has seen the highest engagement rate of any post that we've previously posted. And it had a 10.4% engagement rating. So that's pretty incredible for us. Overall, our social media benchmarks, their metrics are up significantly, with website traffic up 15% over the last 30 days. I know Techniques Trader has started working on sort of a grassroots guerrilla marketing campaign, which I think is starting to really gain traction. And I know that they have pretty extensive marketing planned out for the FMFW listing when we are able to do that. And that includes both a social media competition and a trading competition. So we're hoping that that not only drives an increase in price, but also visibility in numbers. Techniques Trader has a couple of articles in the works that I believe are coming out next week. So keep your eyes out for that. And then I think that's it for the more visible of our campaigns. But some of the other stuff that maybe goes on behind the scenes that aren't like flashy. We've been doing a lot of the Discord reorganization. So if you're in Discord and you've noticed, like, you know, it's a little bit more organized and a little bit maybe more welcoming. That's kind of something that we've been getting to fruition. We had some influencer campaigns that gained some traction. The reviews were kind of mixed on them. But really, I would think that the biggest thing that we're doing right now is we're really just trying to grassroots expand our reach. I mean, we're basically going into other Discords and we're not like spamming them, but we're recruiting them, you know, where we're trying to find talented people to help bring the DAO to kind of the next level. I know this team works around the clock. They're like on Discord now in our chat room, like, oh, what about this idea? So we really, like, there's not a moment that goes by that we're not percolating ideas, exploring new ways to gain traction. So we've really got a lot of work so far, and I'm really honored to be a part of it. So I think that's my spiel.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much. And I hope you all will join me in thanking the entire community marketing group, all of whom have jobs that pay their bills, who work tirelessly coming up with ideas and executing those ideas. And I will tell you that all of these folks are constantly coming to me, to Calvin, to our marketing company, Techniques Trader, and they have been nothing but a bastion of professionalism. And I hope you all feel as lucky to have them in place as I do. Yeah, what I'd love to do, just because I think it would make the most sense, is if we could open up questions specifically for the community marketing group. And Yad, I encourage you, if you can, to also enable Chrissy from the Blocks, if you can put a request in to turn your mic on so you can help Patriot with any questions that come up. Yacht, if we could, I'd love you to open, Yacht and Kelly. Kelly, thank you so much for co-hosting. If you could open it up, folks, if you have questions for the community marketing group, now's a great time to ask them if you don't like to have to type your questions.
Yeah, I got Chrissy from the Blocks up as well. And then yeah, just let's rapid fire. Andrew, what's up, man?
Hey guys, thanks for hosting this space. Ghost, I appreciate the words on your approach to exchanges. I did a security token back in 2018 during the ICO days, and it was some shady business. So I think you're totally on it.
You feel my pain.
Oh yeah, totally. I actually was marketed to today, and I maybe like a second grade level question, but what's the best way to start to learn about what you guys are doing? Like, where's the first best place to start? Is it Discord or the website? Or
wow, I'm gonna let Patriot and or Chrissy answer that.
Sure. So I personally think Discord's the absolute best way to start learning about us. I think our community is awesome. We've got a ton of people there who are so willing to answer questions and help people, and we've got a ton of resources in there. So welcome. Follow us, in Discord.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks, Andrew. We do have, I'm trying to bring Chrissy up. I think we have too many speakers right now. Zach, I'm going to bump you down. I promise I'll bring you up and you have a question so you can recircle back. Nothing personal, man.
That's cool.
Let's see. While I'm trying to do that, does anybody else have any questions for the marketing team specifically while I'm trying to get her up?
I'm going to give this about 30 seconds. If there's no questions, I'll move on to the next group. But I encourage you guys to ask questions. I mean, marketing is, as all of you know, marketing is one of the most important things that you can do in a business. And although we are a token project, we have a business, and our business is, okay, for all of you playing that drinking game at home, every time Ghost says ubiquitous, you have to take a drink. Get ready. As you know, our business is in permeating our token in a ubiquitous way across mid-level businesses so that those tokens can be used, and I'll give you your second drink, in ubiquity. Okay, I've done my job as far as your drinking game, which I have been made aware of. Any other questions for the marketing team? As I say, this would be the time to ask them. And Yacht or Kelly, if you have questions for the marketing team based on what you just heard, I encourage you to ask those as well.
I don't necessarily have questions. Kelly, if you have anything, feel free. But I do want to give a shout out to a couple of members in the Discord. I don't know if they get the recognition they probably deserve, and that's Drummer Dude and Bochin. They both have created some phenomenal marketing material just on their free time. And I want to make sure that doesn't go unnoticed because I think they spent a lot of time. I'm sure you guys have seen the video that Bochin did with the walkthrough of the blocks introduction, and then obviously the motivational videos that Drummer Dude puts together. Very appreciative. But Kelly, you got any questions?
I really don't at this time. Everybody, I've heard a couple of questions I have already be asked and answered, but I'll definitely jump in. I'm taking notes.
Okay, well, I guess Patriot, as always, you did such a thorough job of explaining everything that's going on in marketing.
And I do want to give a shout out, and I know she doesn't need it, but Chrissy, you work nonstop behind the scenes at all hours. So I just want to give a shout out to you as well.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. And, I appreciate the DAO. You guys are great. I know we all, it's been a family. And I want to give it a shout out too to Joe, who kind of goes under the radar for marketing. But he's super, important to our group as well. And we're just here to really, truly just see this thing grow. And as I always say, if you guys have any marketing ideas, please pass them along to us. If there's any names that you think we should be, hitting up or anything, just always reach out. We're open, and we are doing this 24/7, but it's because we enjoy it. So
I'll expand on that really quick. Going back, I know Zach had a question we're going to circle back to about smaller businesses, and I'm not going to get into that. But that's another thing too, when it comes to marketing and reaching out. I think all too often we're thinking so big, which is great. We should be thinking big, but at the same time, we have little guys out there that are interested in getting in ahead of the game with NFTs and blockchain. So, don't be shy to share our community with them as well, because it's for everyone.
Well said, Kelly. I think we kind of got through the shout outs and the marketing piece. If we don't have any other questions, I know we got a couple more segments to move through. Ghost, how do you feel about jumping into the next one?
Yeah, that's great. So I am incredibly proud to introduce to you next. I'm going to call him the hardest working man in the DAO. And you all work hard, but I think everyone can agree there is nobody that works harder than Joe. Joe, would you do us the favor of giving us a debrief as to what is going on in BizDev with your partnerships and anything else that is BizDev that you think the DAO should know about?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, when we first got going, we had some partnerships lined up, and I think the community came together and asked that we put together a group that is sort of the point people for communication within in regards to those partnerships, and communicate the ins and outs of what they're doing to the DAO, and act as the liaison from the DAO to those partnerships. So we put a group of 6 together. Each of our 4 current partnerships has 2 members. And as of right now, we've had contact with all our partnerships, and I can kind of walk through them a little bit. I think what's on everybody's mind currently, as of last week, we got some traction, was our labs partnership. And if you are any fan of our sister company Humble, you understand how important that is. One of our founders traveled to Latin America and did a lot of legwork for that partnership to happen. And as of last week, we kind of hit the ground running. We were able to communicate with some labs representatives, did a quick Zoom meeting, said hello, got acquainted, and then soon thereafter was invited to do some interviews for the administrator that will be overseeing labs. Some awesome candidates, people that would be at the front of the line of any interview process. We were able to interview these 3 candidates, met up afterwards to kind of run through the pros and cons of each. We picked a gentleman. His name is Christopher, and he will be the admin to labs. Our second candidate was just as impressive. He has a huge reach in the government and banking realms in that area. So he will be a consultant that we will tag and tap on to kind of leverage his expertise in those areas. So between the 2 of them, quite the team, and we're excited to be moving forward with that because of what it means to both Blocks and Humble. Currently, they're finalizing the contracts, or if I'm not mistaken, they might be already done. Once that's in place, there's going to be a meetup between the labs reps and our admin, and they're going to be reviewing our proposal. Once that's complete and they're all on board and feeling comfortable with how it's lined out, we'll be putting it up for vote. So that should be coming relatively soon. I get little updates each day on that. So pretty exciting, and a huge opportunity for Blocks in that regard. Our next partnership, which is, I believe, our second one that we announced, is our BizSecure, our BizSecure partnership. And these guys, I can't understate how much they have going on. I think if you guys could put into words as to how busy these guys are, I don't even think I have time to kind of walk through everything that they're doing. But the first contract or project they are working on is with the Air Force. They're doing flight records, and in that project, I think they're meeting weekly with the developers, and it's moving along. I know they're doing price negotiation, and they should have something ready in the near future. I don't know. I don't have an exact timeline, but it's not the original 12 months that was expected when we first went about that. So I think everybody should be excited about that one. They also lined up an agreement with the city of San Jose, California, doing building permits, amongst other things, putting that on blockchain. So that's on the horizon. And they are currently putting together a presentation for one of the larger agencies for the state of California. So that is also on their docket. In addition, they have also been sort of, I want to say, a consultant for the labs process. Very knowledgeable, and have offered their services for helping labs get going in the development process, which is huge. So it isn't going to be something that they're going to start from scratch. They'll have someone to tap onto, which will be awesome. And I just can't, again, these guys are like super busy. They have other projects too lined up that will probably be announced shortly. So,
and Joe, do you mind if I expand? Do you mind if I expand on that for just a second, Joe?
Absolutely, go for it.
So what Joe just said is like amazing, right? One of our partners, BizSecure, saw that another one of our potential partners that we should have a vote on hopefully this week, Labs, was looking for some help from a developmental point of view with tech experience. And our partner, BizSecure, came to the table and said, we have the technical expertise. We also are fluent in Spanish, which is the native language of Latin America. And we would be willing to, for nothing other than doing it, we would be willing to help launch the development efforts and the technical knowledge dump that is needed for labs to get up to speed from a development point of view with blocks. I mean, how cool is that? How cool is it that one of our partners reached out to us and said, we're going to help another one of your partners get going? I mean, you want to talk about dedication, loyalty, and embracing partnership? I'm sorry, but holy crap, that's amazing. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, and again, I just don't want to shortchange those guys. They're working 24/7 and have tons of projects lined up, and I think they are going to be pretty important, pretty impactful for what Blocks is going to do in the future. So props to them. Let's see. We can move on to Revest with Rob Montgomery, the evil genius behind FNFTs, and some of those things that, you know, when I listen to him talk, he goes pretty deep into the weeds. So I don't have much to expand upon him, but I do know that he is utilizing Verified by Blocks quite a bit in his work. And so I'm going to be reaching out to him shortly and getting more details on some of his stuff. So look out for that. And then, of course, probably the partnership that probably doesn't even need to be mentioned, Humble. Obviously, Blocks got launched on the Humble app. And I think Ghost can expand a little bit more on this. He wanted to talk about Humble specifically. So take it away, Ghost.
Sure. So as all of you know,
Or
one of
don't.
our very first as all of you know, one of our very first partnerships was with Humble Inc., which is a publicly traded company currently trading on the OTCQBs. And I want to, I don't know if anyone from Humble Inc. is on the line, but if they are, we all at the DAO, as your partners, want to congratulate you for your uplisting to the QBs. Well done. Humble's been using us in a couple of different applications. One is our verified by blocks. I am super pleased to report that I reached out to Humble today, and they were able to share with me that over 200 NFTs have been minted using verified by blocks. And what a fantastic benchmark and milestone that is that we have now been able to lean into. I'm looking forward to thousands more. I know that I've been personally reached out to by NFT artists that are minting on other chains, asking if they can use verified by blocks. And I'm like, have at it. If you need any help, let us know. But you're over there. Like, go to our GitHub. It's right there. But over 200 NFTs on the Humble NFT platform have utilized verified by blocks, which, as most of you know, is an additional authentication layer that is added on top of the blockchain to add a layer of certificate of authenticity. So that's fantastic. Great news. And I know that Etienne, which was a recent release by our partner, used verified by blocks. And I actually went online today to see what the resale market on that Etienne was. I don't know what the original person paid, but apparently that NFT is selling at like $68,000 on the secondary market. So whoever bought that originally, good for you. I guess I have to take that all more seriously. I also saw that our partners over at Humble, that Mr. Vetter, who will be representing the United States of America as a snowboarder coming up here in the Winter Olympics, I saw that his NFT was released and was released with verified by blocks. So very excited to report that verified by blocks is being used, wait for it, ubiquitously on the Humble platform in the minting of NFTs. Secondarily, and Calvin touched on this a bit, I reached out to our partners over at Humble, and there's only so much that they could share with us, even though they are our partners, because they are a publicly traded company. They can't share with us anything that, and I know you'll all understand this, they can't share anything with us that we could then share with you that could be quote unquote insider information that could affect, the price of their stock. So they're very, very careful with what they share with us. But what they did say is they've had a very successful launch of being able to purchase blocks through the Humble app. The Etherscan tells us that they have bought millions of blocks to support the early success of that launch. I did address earlier that, as with all software, look, I have been releasing software products since 1987. And yes, I am that friggin' old. When you launch a software product, even Apple, those of you who own iPhones, you never launch a product without some bugs. And there have been some bugs. I have reached out to the DAO community and asked that you guys assemble a bug report so that we can help our friends and partners over at Humble with any bugs that we find on the platform. I will say that I happen to use the Humble app, and I thought that release was about as buggy as mosquito season in December in Maine. And for those of you who have never been in Maine during mosquito season in December, there's not a lot of bugs. There were some problems. I know some people have had some fail problems. I know that even Calvin had some problem getting his blocks that he tried to buy during ACH done. But I will tell you that all of the banks, the credit and debit card companies, they're notorious for challenging the onboarding of crypto. And what's amazing is that in the Humble app so far, those have been much less of an issue than I've seen in previous releases of products that are trying to onboard things that involve crypto. ACH will easily be the most seamless thing that is available over at our partner Humble's app. And again, we want to thank our partner for everything they do for us. We believe this is a mutually beneficial partnership. What we get from it is a place for people to go buy blocks without having to pay Ethereum gas fees. What our partner Humble gets out of this is the crypto community that discovers blocks that then goes over to the Humble app to buy their blocks to escape the obscene Ethereum costs that can come with buying blocks on Uniswap and SushiSwap. So it's a win-win for both companies. And all I want to say about that partnership is they've been fantastic partners. They are as transparent as they can be for a publicly traded company. They share with us what they can, but they are obviously always very aware of what they can and cannot say in reference to U.S. securities laws, because they are governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So congratulations. I'm going to clap into my phone. Congratulations to our partners over at Humble for a very successful launch, and for, based on what I see on Etherscan, millions and millions of blocks in the first 48 hours being purchased through the Humble app. So that is my interjection, Joe, on what's going on over at Humble.
Yeah, and so I mean, wraps up our current 4 partnerships. I did want to say that the community, I think I probably have 20 to 25 potential leads and companies that people want to kind of explore getting blocks integrated to their businesses. And to that aspect, the last spaces that we did, someone brought up the idea of creating an intake form, to which soon thereafter the BizDev team crafted a form, into which we're reviewing and going to schedule a meeting with Calvin and Adam, and we're going to go over how to better integrate these, vet these companies, and see how we can get them onboarded. So I thought that was pretty cool that something that spurned from the last spaces we did is now almost seeing its way into action. So that's pretty cool. With that, I think that kind of wraps up the Biz team. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you touched on a lot of the key points and a lot of the partnerships. So I appreciate that, Joe. Joe, definitely appreciate everything you've done for this DAO community. I mean, I don't think everybody sees what you do. I think a lot of people actually probably do. But just being able to talk to you day to day, I can see how much you're putting in all the different groups. So I really appreciate it.
So Yacht, can you open it up to questions specifically for Joe on the efforts of the BizDev community and or anything that we just heard about any of our partnerships?
Yeah, we actually have 3 speakers up. If you guys have anything specific to the BizDev side of blocks in the DAO, feel free to raise your hand. I'll go through the list. If you do not have a question specific to the BizDev side, step down and I'll bring a couple people up, because we do have, it looks like, probably about 7 people that are waiting to ask a question.
Can I, real quick, Joe, I have a quick question to start off with. You mentioned that BizSecure is putting together a presentation for the state of California. Are you allowed to speak or bullet point anything to do with that, or do you have to wait before sharing anything regarding that?
Yeah, we have to wait because they are probably will be in competition with others, so we cannot kind of disclose where they're headed with that one. So, but it'll be exciting once it's announced.
All right, so we'll go through some of these questions. I think Caitlin was the first one up. You've been up here for a while as a speaker. If you want to go, and then we'll go X arrow, and then we'll work through some of the people that have requested. Caitlin, you there? All right, that might have been an accident. X arrow? Oh, that's an error as well. Let's see. All right, we're bringing up Buck, Robert, and Igor. Buck, what do you got?
Hey,
we're getting a lot of.
Rob's here. Sorry, guys, I was on mute.
Go for it, Rob.
Thanks for taking my call. Hey, sort of talking about the NFTs on Blocks and verified by Blocks. Ghost, you mentioned, some added verification capability. For those of us that are like involved in some NFT projects and know some folks in that space who are kind of always coming up with new NFT projects, where could we get some more information on what verified by Blocks can add to a project and maybe kind of do some guerrilla marketing that way? Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, depending on how deep in the weeds you want to go, if you pull up our GitHub, you'll be able to dig into verified by Blocks a bit from a technical point of view. If you're just looking for a general overview on what verified by Blocks is, so as an ERC 777 token, we have the ability to store much greater amounts of metadata in our token than ERC20 token does. And what Adam has done is he's created this verified by Blocks, which allows you to use blocks during the minting process, and you can store part of your hash over in the block, so that currently, in the case of if you're buying NFTs on Humble, you can verify through if the token, if the NFT has been minted verified by Blocks, you can see using the hash that will match in Blocks the hash in the original NFT that it is the original NFT that has been minted. What we are working on over at Blocks is a Blocks registry, which will basically be a website where you can take your verified by Blocks authentication, go to that website, present your NFT along with the Blocks verification, and you can then get it verified that this is the original NFT that's been produced. In the case of those crazy apes that were stolen recently, and I believe it was $3 to $5 million worth of fraudulent NFTs were produced. In the case of verified by Blocks, if you use that, you have gone to the Blocks registry, and the person who is buying those would have said, okay, well, I see you have your ape. Can you please provide the block that has the matching hash to be able to verify the authenticity? And if you can't, that's how the person buying it would have known that they were buying a fraudulent one. So as far as if you're an NFT producer and you want to use our verified by Blocks, first look at our GitHub. If that is not terribly, obvious to you, reach out to me or Calvin or at Werewolf in the Discord, and we would be more than happy to work with you in how to add verified by Blocks to your NFT production.
Thanks.
Thanks, Robert. I do have a question that got messaged to me. I'll throw it through real quick, and you can shut it down if it's towing a line. It is somewhat Humble Blocks related. It's asking about when swapping will be possible as far as like ETH for blocks.
In the Humble app?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, we don't know.
No problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I figured we can keep going. Just throw it out there. Igor, you're up next.
Thanks, guys. My question about DAO land ownership. What is the state of it?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yes, my question about land ownership using DAO.
Oh, I see. So do you mean the fractionalization of real estate using the blockchain?
Yeah, I am aware of the experiment in Wyoming that allowed DAO to purchase and manage land, and I've been involved in building DAO, launching building frameworks for DAO, and I'm wondering how is it possible right now to create communities that manage land using DAO, how legal state of it, and is it possible also technically, are there any solutions?
Sure. So what a great question, Igor. Thank you for that. I think that a lot of us in the DAO feel that fractionalization of real estate on the blockchain is something that is imminent and will happen regardless of sentiment in traditional markets of real estate. Where that happens, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of different places that real estate on the blockchain can play. There's things like title assurance, which, by the way, verified by blocks would be a phenomenal use case for title assurance in real estate. But for the actual fractionalization of real estate, you could certainly use blocks to achieve the distribution of those fractionalized pieces of real estate. And whenever I think about fractionalization of real estate on the blockchain, I always think of the traditional general limited partnership structure of real estate. And the GP, to a certain extent, could be whomever on the blockchain decides to organize this. And then the LPs behind that are all the folks who come in and want to participate in a real estate project by utilizing a token, such as blocks, to represent their ownership of that project. I don't know, Calvin, if you have time or you want to expand on your thoughts behind fractionalization of real estate on the blockchain.
Well, I think it's an interesting challenge because whenever you're dealing with things in real life and things on a blockchain, there has to be legal framework as well as smart contracts to kind of keep things together. So I'm still trying to gain more information and more education on how some of that would go together. So I don't really have a ton to add at this point, but I did want to let everybody know I'm going to drop off at 6:30 just so nobody's offended.
I'm horribly offended, Calvin, but you have a great night. Thanks for spending all the time you spent with us anyway.
Yeah, I'll be here for a little bit longer, but
right,
at 6:30 I'll disappear.
Fair enough. I unfortunately, you will be left with me. Yacht, do we have anyone else who's teed up?
No new speakers, but we do have Ben still. I don't know if you want to put that a little bit later or if you want to talk about that financial aspect of it.
No, not at all. Just before we get to Ben, what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Joe to speak a little bit. Joe is going to be sponsoring a proposal in Discord to put together an operations group. And before Joe goes, I just want to say I have given Joe the incredibly frustrating challenge because I keep saying to him, Joe, I need you to add organization and structure without being centralized. So I need you to be structured, but you can't be structured. It has to be distributed. And I want you to add organization, but I want you to be organized in a decentralized way. So Joe has the formidable task of putting together a proposal to set up an operational group that represents the community in the DAO. Joe?
Yeah. So this group in particular kind of speaks to me personally because I myself am a small business owner and I've had other businesses that I've ran, and trying to encapsulate or capture the passion and the resources and the talent that we have within the DAO is a kind of a monumental task. The essence of the DAO is that you're kind of empowering everybody, and everybody has a CEO cap on, so to speak. And when we first started, there's people that were spitting out ideas left and right, and we couldn't quite capture it all. So me being who I am, like, I started kind of gathering information, trying to track what everybody was trying to say, the requests and whatnot. And that's kind of how I kind of fell into where I am right now. But the essence is that the operations group is kind of going to go horizontal, where these other groups are more siloed verticals, right? So the whole purpose behind operations is to kind of, one, you're going to help out the other verticals in the DAO, but also this will be the means to spur an action or get more things done, harnessing individuals' little bits of effort so that we can kind of create motion, so to speak. So like I was kind of alluding to, as I was kind of collecting information, I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't move forward, or so to speak. So the operations group had a kickoff meeting, and I've kind of like just picked people that kind of stepped up and had certain interests. And we had a kickoff meeting last week, and we kind of discussed the structure, where we're headed, what we're trying to do. And within that group, as it sits now, I think we have 8 amazing ladies, and their strengths are, I don't want to say the dirty work, but it's the necessary stuff that makes businesses go. Right now, the 4 or 5 positions that we have are pegged to create would be a DAO moderator, kind of like how Fiera and Sager are now. But part of that responsibility that we're hoping to create is for them to be able to gather the requests, the ideas, anything that would be important for the DAO potentially as an idea, and kind of throw it in our Airtable, which is our tracking software that we kind of pegged to collect ideas, and put it in the appropriate list for that department. So weekly, that department can kind of go through these lists and say, okay, so-and-so brought this idea to us. Do we think it's viable, worth exploring? And that'll kind of like at least give people a voice, knowing that they're heard. Because again, at the very beginning, there was like 50 voices, 100 voices, and I felt like, not everybody was getting heard. So that's kind of the motive behind that. Because that is the essence of the DAO, right? We're trying to make sure everyone has a voice and everyone's being heard. The other aspect of this group is that we can create meeting minutes for each of the departments, and we will summarize and hopefully report to the DAO at a regular interval. This will be probably one of my biggest, I don't want to say failures, but like it's been really hard for me to accomplish, is getting information out at appropriate times. It's just kind of information overload. So having people for each department report back to someone that is going to manage the, I don't want to call it a newsletter, but some sort of informational push to the DAO, so that we can get little bursts of information as to what everyone's doing on a regular interval. So I know some people get kind of maybe frustrated with lack of information, or we don't know what they're doing, or we don't know what this team's doing. So this is going to try to alleviate some of those concerns and comments that we've gathered up. So be looking for that. I think one of the other things, one of my weaknesses is English and proofreading, and form experts, people that are good at documenting, punctuation and all that stuff. that is not my forte. So from time to time, anything we do that is public facing, like a proposal, like a Twitter or something, PR and whatnot, we'll have a group of people that our expertise is in that realm. So that will be exciting. The other seats that we'll be creating is a proposal expert or coach, which, if you can imagine down the road when this DAO is 2 or 3 years old and we have 50 proposals, we will need experts or people that are kind of versed as to the wording and the organization, and that if we create them, that they won't overlap and they're not in conflict. So someone that is sort of a librarian for the proposals and can take an idea from anyone in the DAO and maybe hook them up with a gold member that's appropriate to then propose it, is kind of the thought process behind that one. And then business leads, I kind of go back and forth as to where this seat resides, whether it's biz dev or this operations team. But Chrissy and I have talked to Kelly, and we are trying to find a creative way to can her energy so that we can best utilize her. But she's been amazing and has probably produced 5 or 6 leads, in the last couple of days. She's just a ball of energy, and we're trying to integrate her into that. So looking forward to that. Let's see. Am I missing anything? I think that's kind of it. But basically, I mean, the summary of that is that we're just trying to empower people that have energy and do the dirty work to move things forward. So that's kind of the summary of it.
So before Yacht and Kelly open this to questions specifically for Joe about what operations would be, and by the way, this is something that a proposal will be put out for a vote, so you guys have to approve the operations group for it to come into reality, but they're doing a lot of pre-work. I just want to point something out. I hope you guys, I hope everyone on this Spaces is aware of what you're hearing. Not 3 weeks ago, the voice of the DAO on Spaces had to be Calvin and I. And I don't know if you're noticing, but Calvin and I, our voices are being diluted in the best way possible. And the people you are hearing from tonight are your fellow community members. People who, just like you, bought blocks, are holding blocks, and they're using them to govern. And they're coming up with ideas for how to make this a more productive project for people to do business with. And I don't know if you guys are as blown away by this as I am, but you should be. So with that, yeah, I don't know if anyone has questions for Joe on the...
Shane's been so
Yeah,
patiently waiting.
I was going to say.
So Shane, why don't you?
Hey, my question is not necessarily for Joe. So if anyone does have anything for Joe on the great work he's doing to build the operations team, they can go on ahead of me.
I think we're at that stage where it's going to be kind of an open forum. So if you got a question, Shane, it's all you.
Sure. Thanks a lot, guys. Great crowd we've got tonight. Really appreciate the content that's been put forward and the work of all you guys in the DAO. You're excellent people. Question I have is, we've seen millions and millions of blocks purchased just over the last 24 hours through Humble. And I'm wondering if there's any mechanism in place for those to be transferred, over to another ERC20 wallet or anything like that, so the folks who buy through Humble can participate in the DAO. Anyone who has info on that, I'd love an answer. Thanks.
I would love to give you better news, but we are at the hands of the bots that are accessible to us. So what that would take is you would need to be able to have a bot that interfaces with Discord that could recognize the holdings of blocks in whatever wallet that is. And ultimately, those blocks are held in a custodial wallet called BitGo. So although I love the question, and there'd be nothing that would make me happier than folks who are buying blocks through the Humble wallet be able to be tier recognized and the ability to vote. Unfortunately, until somebody writes a bot that can interface with that, that just isn't a capability. But I'm not giving up on it, and neither should you.
Right. I mean, I
We'll
have
figure it
looked
out.
at the collab land, technical documentation, and it does seem like maybe we're just a little bit too early to be able to interface, a custodial versus non-custodial ERC20 transfer. So hopefully soon that comes to pass.
Totally agree, Shane. And maybe we have enough activity that we can kind of help push collab into being able to integrate with some of the wallets that we would like them to be able to, so that those people who are holding blocks outside of a MetaMask wallet or a Trust wallet can be recognized for tier level and the ability to vote. So great question. Thanks for asking it. If we're going to go to general questions, I just want to I want to finish up Yacht. There's one other person I'd like to invite to speak. And this is the newest community group that is going to be proposed, and he hasn't even had a chance to really float the idea in Discord, so he'll float the idea tonight. Ben Jensen, who will be the sponsor of the proposal to create a community finance group. Ben, I've got your back, but do you want to describe what you're looking to do?
Yeah, good evening, guys. So I'm looking to create a community finance committee, looking for probably 3 to 6 members to help. And there's going to be some things that we start off doing and probably getting more as we go along. It's really the crawl, walk, run. Especially in finances, it's pretty important, and so just want to make sure we do it the right way. So we're going to be looking for people that have finance or accounting backgrounds. If you have professional certifications, CPA, CFA, anything like that, we'd love to have you. Some of the things that we're probably going to we want to start doing is facilitating creating budgets. Help with cash management, eventually treasury management. Just like I don't know how many times we asked Ghost what the circulating supply was, but helping manage that number and having that number readily available for when people ask. And then just creating general financial strategies for the DAO. So I mean that's really pretty basic right now, but that's where we want to start. And so I'm gonna put out something in Discord of if you have any of those finance or accounting backgrounds, or and you have professional certifications, please reach out to me, and we're gonna start hopefully get a proposal out in the next few days, hopefully by the weekend.
And just so you guys know, Ben, I believe, has or had a CPA. He's currently the CFO of a company. His background is absolutely perfect to be the person leading this. I hope that you guys will pass this proposal. It's up to you, obviously, as always. But what the Finance Committee would do is they would help us report everything going on, from what our bank balance is, to what is left in Treasury, to how we're doing on emission schedules, to what is our current circulating supply, to interfacing with folks like Coin Market Cap to make sure that they have the correct numbers. It's the first step to financial decentralization, which is probably one of the most important steps. So, as Ben said, he'll be reaching out in Discord. Those of you who have that background he's talking about, CPA, CFA, chartered financial consultant, investment banker, commercial banker, lending officer, etc. I think that's who he's looking for. So please reach out and get with Ben. And I think that this is something that the community is going to be very excited about. You guys always have questions, which you should, on what is the state of our finances? What is the state of our treasury? What are our treasury strategies? And these will be the folks, if you approve this proposal, these will be the folks who are leading that effort and transparently communicating with you every step of the way. So, Yacht, at this point, and Kelly, thank you both for hosting. I know I've been doing too much talking, and God knows I'm tired of hearing my own voice. Do you guys want to open this for any questions at all for anyone at all who's been a speaker at this point?
Well,
Yeah,
Zach,
before we get into, I'll let you control the room, Kelly. But one of the questions that came to me was around New York and Texas and being able to buy blocks. Is there anything? Is that more of like state government, or is that something that is being worked on, or is there anything we can talk about there?
I mean, write your congressmen, write your senators. The good news is Mayor Adams in New York City seems to be very crypto friendly, but those are state legislative issues, and there's nothing that we have control over. That's up to state legislatures. So in all seriousness, write your congressmen, write your senators.
Cool. And then one last thing before we get into the questions, I have added a video and the link to our Discord above. So if you are stumbling in and just kind of listening and you like what you heard, feel free to add the Discord. There's a general channel as far as we can go through introductions and kind of how to get more involved in the DAO as well. So with that, Kelly, if you want to control the audience.
Well, not so much control it, but first I was just going to say, if you've asked a question and you feel like it was adequately answered and you don't have more, just if you can step down. There's a lot of people requesting and we want to make room for them. I asked Zach to come back up, and I absolutely his question because I like advocating for the small potato businesses that want to grow and be on the front end of blockchain. So Zach, take it away.
Okay, so my question is like, how are we gonna get this blocks, which is amazing tech, out to like anybody to use, like in the world, really? So I think eventually using this kind of tech, it should be like almost as simple as taking like an NFT, a digital asset, or like really any asset, and tying it into blocks, as if it was like listing a product on like eBay, or like for a small company to take and use this technology, and as if it were like posting a job on LinkedIn. So like how are we doing that to like bring it on to like anybody can use it? Are we looking at like any specific ideas, or how are we reaching like everybody, as in like maximum outreach to small businesses? We're reaching big to get this tech really to migrate every traditional industry onto blocks.
So I'm going to ask that Patriot and Chrissy and Joe field this question initially, because those are the folks who are out there leading the effort.
Okay.
I'm going to defer to Joe.
I knew you
Sorry,
would.
Joe.
It's all right. So this is one of our biggest issues. I would have to ask the community, as a new project, we're still kind of getting our feet underneath us. And to your point exactly, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is that I've gotten more requests than I know what to do with, or at least introductions to companies and people that want to jump on the blocks train,
yeah,
so to speak. And so we have an intake form that we're creating. A lot of this is kind of vetting out where someone is, right? How capable are they of jumping on and getting integrated? Some people just hear the word blockchain and want to say, yeah, that's cool, but do they really have the means necessary to integrate this technology into their business? There's a lot that goes behind it, and so we have to do a lot of vetting. We have to kind of see where they're at business wise. Have they set a budget aside? Do they have developers? Things like that. So there's a ton of questions that we have to kind of just feel our way through, and our questionnaire kind of addresses this. And specifically, we have this draft in place, and now the next step, and I have a meeting set up with Calvin, and we're going to address this specifically, because I do believe it is sort of a morale killer when people go, I have this idea or I have this company, and we don't quite know right now what to do with all these names and faces. So, but it is on the back of my mind, and like I kind of alluded to, we might tag Kelly to kind of head the collection of names and companies. And so once we get that kind of this process, sort of this vetting process ironed out, we can kind of start chugging through all these names and companies. And so we'll get into a good groove in addressing these.
And what I would say is we do have blocks builder modules out there, and we do need to figure out how to proliferate how easy it is to use the block builders modules. So that's a great challenge, and we will collectively as a community figure out how to lean in to make more folks aware of our blocks builders modules, because that is a blocks token engine module plugin that should be very easy for everyone to use. And when we are able to disseminate that, when we are able to, wait for those of you playing or drinking games at home, ubiquitously get that message out that we do have a blocks token engine module plugin that's available, and it's fairly easy to use for folks who have experience in, let's say, React, to be able to come up to speed very quickly and have the ability to read the GitHub. That's part of our challenge, and that's part of what we're going to be working on. Great question.
Thank you.
Go for it, Lewis.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My question is, when are we gonna see blocks in the future? Probably as a payment method for goods or services. For example, maybe I can buy NFT with using blocks in whatever platform, preferably one that I like. But can we see blocks being used as a payment method in the future?
I mean, I do, and I think that's up to the partners that we have. I know that our partners over at Humble have been working diligently at adding blocks as a payment methodology for their NFT platform. And that would be great if they were the front runners in using blocks as a payment methodology. But it's a no-brainer. And thank you for that question, because what a great use of blocks that would be. Blocks as a payment methodology for anything that is offered out on the blockchain. And that is what we are working towards. So yes, 100%, we are working towards that, and we have tapped our partners to help us in developing that.
Nice, thank you so much. I guess now, moving forward, I'm gonna ask you about the steps of that every space. Thank you. Goes.
Thank you. I know who you are. I see you in Discord. You're an incredibly valuable member, and thank you for everything that you do in our DAO.
Thanks, Lewis. Eric, I know you had your hand up. Did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to ask?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's nice to be here. My question was kind of for Christina.
and some other folks in the marketing world. I'm a big fan of Matt Gold and what he's doing at Unstoppable Domains and his Unstoppable podcast. And I was curious if there was any sort of maybe push or agreement or something in the works to do an episode on his Unstoppable podcast, maybe an interview with Brian or Ghost or whoever, Calvin, because I think it might be a nice opportunity to distribute this information on like a completely different platform instead of just Twitter Spaces. So yeah, that was basically my question. Thanks. Nice to meet y'all.
Thanks for your question, Eric. I do believe that is in the works. And I hope I'm not misspeaking, but I believe that was talked about.
Sweet.
And I do think that, it's very possible in the near future that we could get either on theirs or they come on us.
Yeah, I just to kind of add on to that, I think the problem right now, there has been some excitement about that as soon as it was kind of in the works. The problem is the time frame. I believe they're based in Europe, so there's just some times of just trying to figure out when everybody's not busy. But that is definitely in the works. I would say hopefully in February, but I'll continue to push that to try to get that on there.
Very cool. Thanks. Yeah, he does a nice job of kind of laying it all on an even keel for people that sometimes they understand more than others. And it's a cool sort of denominator. So that's neat. Thanks.
Yeah, I think the DAO and Discord, and I know for a fact Twitter has been getting a lot of hits from Unstoppable Domains. So I know a lot of people are excited about that. So I'm also excited to see how that continues to develop.
Right on. Thanks.
You got it. So right now we don't have any other questions. I can give a couple more minutes to see if anybody has anything specific that they would want to be asking Ghost or anybody on the marketing team or Ben or Joe. But if not, I think this was a very highly successful space. I think we got over 400 people, and we got some good questions asked. I think that with this not having a outside guest as far as one of our partners speaking, I think this was a very good space for us to be able to just talk about exactly what this is, the state of the DAO, and what we're looking at to move forward. I mean, that's all I really got. I think Ghost, obviously, thank you for giving us a couple hours now. But I don't see anybody else raising hands, so I think that if we're all good, we can call it a night.
Well, before you all go, first of all, Yacht and Kelly, thank you so much for, Yacht, you've been doing this since Blocks decided to launch its own Twitter Spaces. You have been hosting and organizing and asking questions and running these. Kelly, thank you so much for helping Yacht in his plight. I'd like to leave you all with this. We are 3 months old. And in 3 months, we have financial non-fungible tokens looking to use verified by Blocks in one of the most bleeding edge technology ways that has emerged on the NFT scene. We are doing business with the United States Air Force in credential verification utilizing Blocks. We have a publicly traded company that is opening their app to be able to include Blocks not only in a verified by Blocks manner, but also in helping folks who want to purchase Blocks without the Ethereum charges, which is amazing. To our friends in labs, which you will see a proposal going out to, Latin America looking to adopt blockchain across multiple sectors, in a partner who has come to us with 5 signed MOUs with nothing short of the Chilean government, traditional exchanges, clean energy, etc. The fact that you have organized yourselves into a fashion where you have two subgroups, one in community marketing, one in business development, two that are about to be proposed in operations, and one in finance. We have done this in 3 months. Good Lord. Our token is one of the most stable tokens that is traded in the crypto markets, and we are 3 months old. This is not me. This is not even the founders. This is you all. And when you leave Twitter Spaces tonight, each of you who is a participant in the DAO should pat yourself on the back for making history. This is the crossroads of where traditional business meets decentralized blockchain, and we are the poster child for how that can happen. And you all have been the most amazing community that anyone could ask for. So personally, I thank you all so much. For all of the people who have been on this call tonight, Joe, Patriot, Ben, Chrissy, all of you who spend tireless hours working on behalf of the DAO, defining that famous Star Trek line that the good of the many outweigh the needs of the good of the few. This project is embodying that, and good for all of you. Thank you for all you guys do. I look forward to seeing all of you in Discord, and I appreciate you giving me the honor of helping to guide you on this historic mission. Thank you all so much.
I real quickly, and I know we want to wrap up. First, I just want to thank everyone because this is actually my first time ever co-hosting a space. So thank you, Yacht, for walking me through everything. And I felt very comfortable and found my voice, maybe a little too much. And secondly, I really appreciate the shout out for bringing in leads. But at the end of the day, you guys, I wouldn't be able to do anything without Discord. I attribute that really to all the people just mentioned and so many more in Discord. Somebody will hit me up with a question, or I have I'm in a position with my work where I meet a lot of people and I'll have a question come up. I throw it in Discord and I have 10 people helping me out. They're finding links, they're finding information. So it's one thing to make the connection, but they have all the technical know-how. I'm able to pass along so much. So thank you everyone for that. I can't take all the credit.
Yeah, Kelly, thanks for joining us. Obviously, we kind of scouted you on the mech space, and getting up there and putting out a good word for the DAO was definitely a step forward. And speaking for myself, this is a community that it's very exciting to be a part of, and seeing it develop over the last few months, and seeing people, just come out of the woodworks. We really don't know what kind of talent we have in this DAO and in this community until you speak up. From creative to financial to business development. There's so many just great minds in this space. And I think that it's going to be key that we probably have these, maybe I was talking to Chrissy, maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks, if we kind of run out of guests. But I think this was a very good space to have just a kind of family chat. So with that, I think we can call it a night. That was a good 2 hours. I'm sure some other spaces will be popping up, but thank you, everyone, and have a good night.